Welcome back to Turf Talk Key Race Edition. And Vance, while you were sucking back free soda and riding the rides in Santa Claus, Indiana, Uncle Mo became the fifth next out winner from the Kentucky Derby, joining Exaggerator, Creator, Tom's Ready, and Gun Runner. What do you attribute to the success of Derby starters?
Well, it's a pretty competitive crop for one thing. They're comprised of some very good horses, talented horses that can carry their form from one race to another. And also there's plenty of major races for three-year-old these days. The Ohio Derby was revived a couple of years ago. Now it's a lucrative $500,000 option for horses on their way to some of the major Grade 1 races and later in the summer. So I would say those two factors, this is a pretty above average or average to above average crop of three-year-olds. The second, there's plenty of opportunities to make money. If you've got a good colt on your hands, there's really no reason to go hungry at all during the course of the year.
Yeah, agreed on all counts, and we'll get to the second half of the year after my point. To me, what's interesting, Mo Tom was actually the last horse into the Kentucky Derby. When Cupid defected, he became the 20th starter, and at the time, I thought, well, we'll have at least one more. There's no way that this is going to be it, and lo and behold, 2 weeks later, it was the same 20. And I think that's part of it is, we didn't end up having this, for lack of a better word, filler in the race. The 20 who wanted to go to the race were the 20 in, basically. There really wasn't much hustling. I mean, yeah, you could say, well, what about the Spiral winner? Maybe he doesn't belong among these. Well, he won a significant race on the Derby Trail, and maybe he's not a dirt horse, but to me, the right horses that you would want in were there, and they're competitive after the Derby as well. Tom's Ready to me would be, I don't want to say surprised. Doug Salvatore picked him in the blog for the Belmont Stakes, but it was a big long shot for the Louisiana Derby. Didn't run great in Kentucky, but turned back and won the Woody Stevens. Louisiana Derby doing very well. Gun Runner won the Winn out of the Kentucky Derby. I would anticipate that we'll see both him and maybe Mo Tom in the Haskell. Certainly maybe the Jim Dandy for Mo Tom if they don't want to take their chances with Monmouth's traditional profile. My question to you is, do you think any of these horses that did not win a classic can jump up and contend with Nyquist, Exaggerator, Creator at the end of the year?
Just off the top of my head, I'm thinking no long term. I think maybe some of these horses can be vulnerable short term in particular races. Nyquist will be coming in off a long layoff into the Haskell, presumably. Maybe Gun Runner can catch him on an off day, as Nyquist is kind of preparing for possible more lucrative maybe a bigger score down the lane for like the Pennsylvania Derby Trap or something like that. Jim Dandy's the comeback race for Exaggerator and possibly Creator. Of course, their eyes are really set on the Travers.
Right.
Chances are, maybe a horse can come and catch him at 1 1/8 or shorter. So it kind of all depends. But as far as the three-year-old championship is concerned, I'm thinking Creator, Nyquist, and Exaggerator are going to be a little bit hard to beat. So for right now.
Right. Not only, to me, would horses like Gun Runner or Mo Tom or whoever else have to keep winning, but they need the others to lose as well. It's not enough just to rack up some wins, even if they're big wins. But beating older Breeders' Cup race could be into play. One thing this has settled for me, and part of it was Unified's egg at 1 to 5. But there was some talk throughout May with him and the player, and I forget who won the Easy Goer on Belmont Day, beat Cupid, economic model. That these are going to be major players in the second half. I have a hard time envisioning them running with the classic horses based on what we've seen since the Derby.
I agree. Economic model was very good, winning the Easy Goer, but it was almost like a function of Cupid not performing so well in that particular race. Unified was kind of life and death to win the Peter Pan around one turn, going 1 1/8. His race at Monmouth recently was not good at all, obviously. No. He can probably rebound, but obviously Jimmy Jerkins is now pointing towards 1 turn races for him now. He's kind of not pursuing that 2-turn goal anymore, which I think is the smart move.
Well, we had Nyquist finish third in the Preakness. Exaggerator won it. Gunrunner came back to win the Winn. That leaves Moeman among the Derby Superfecta, the horse who made me a believer. Same as Destin, who finished sixth. Didn't like either of them going into the Derby. Granted, they didn't win, but I thought both ran admirably. Destin also second in the Belmont, so supporting the key race. So Moeman, to me, I had a lot of respect for his talent, just didn't think he was going the right way in the Derby. Now they're talking about one turn with him. To me, he moves way up, given what the horses around him in the Derby have done since.
Yeah, I think the Jim Dandy's going to be his next race, and it'll be very interesting to see if he could face Exaggerator there, maybe faces Creator there, a mile and an eighth first off the bench at Saratoga. He might be the kind of horse to possibly upset those two in that race, and we'll get a bigger indication of how good Mohaman is relative to the rest of this class in that Jim Dandy. He lost a lot of luster losing the Florida Derby for the first time.
Right.
Ran probably better than a lot of people expected at Louisville, and it'll be a good opportunity for him to get back into the game.
All right, and then on the filly side, Songbird, of course, I don't think we're going to see her against males this year.
No, I don't think so. It clearly looks like it's going to be Coaching Club American Oaks, Alabama, and maybe the Cotillion as her final Breeders' Cup distaff prep. So, after her illness that kept her out of the Kentucky Oaks, every dream that people had that she might face males kind of went down the tubes.
Yeah, I think if she had won there, the Haskell would certainly be in the conversation because she would have beaten Catherine Sophia if she had won, of course. But now, I guess the Cotillion would be the one. If she wins the Coaching Club in Alabama, unless the Cotillion's a prep for the Classic, I wouldn't understand going to that race. It would be a shame if we didn't see her against a top level horse, but I mean that's the way it's shaken out. Sheer drama in the Breeders' Cup, big whoop. We all want to see her either face Beholder or the top 3-year-old males. I don't think either is going to happen.
No, I don't think so either. And even if she triumphs at Saratoga in both races, even going to the Cotillion is kind of anticlimactic at that point. She had already sewn up 3-year-old filly championship honors. Even I think a more reasonable prep for the Breeders' Cup might be the Spinster at Keeneland, and at least she would be facing some good older fillies and mares in that particular race. I don't see her going back to California and running against Beholder in the Zenyatta Stakes as a prep. That's a no-go right there. So, if she clearly takes the championship at Saratoga, I'd love to see her in our own backyard at Keeneland again running in the Spinster.
Yeah, that's a good point. And wrap it up with this, because I know we agree, the din for her to have potentially Horse of the Year honors if she were to run the table, and let's say some other horses don't, so it's sort of even among all the other divisions. I'm not going to go for that, though. If she doesn't face males, she's not even third on my ballot.
Yeah, that's always been my criteria for fillies, especially a 3-year-old filly.
Right.
You have to run and beat older horses in a stakes race to get any kind of consideration from me. So the fact that she's not likely to face older horses at all this year, older males, I should say, just kind of eliminates her as a Horse of the Year candidate in my book.
Yeah, well, there's still time. Maybe something will change depending on how she wins, but I do think this 3-year-old group is proving to be, interesting at the very least, and even better competitive. So plenty of races to look forward to throughout the year, and I'm sure we'll be discussing them.
Absolutely.
All right, well, join us next week, July 4th, Belmont Derby maybe, Aiden O'Brien, Dermot Weld sending some over. We'll have plenty to talk about. Until then.